Greetings, dear children. In this video, we will be learning William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 1. In the previous video, that is part 2 of the scene, Act 3, Scene 1, we have seen that the conspirators proclaim liberty from tyranny as the capital descends into a panic. They send Publius to reassure the people that no harm will befall anyone else. Brutus suggests that the conspirators bathe their hands and weapons in Caesar's blood and walk through the marketplace proclaiming peace, freedom, liberty. As they wash themselves with the blood of Caesar, Cassius remarks that this lofty scene will be replayed many times in the future. Then we have seen that Antony's servant enters with a passionately worded appeal, saying that Antony will support Brutus if he is allowed to safely approach and be given a satisfactory explanation for Caesar's death. Brutus readily grants this, although Cassius does not entirely trust Antony. And in the last part of the scene, we see that Antony enters and is moved by the sight of Caesar's body. He tells the conspirators that if they intend his death as well, then there is no better moment than now at the sight of Caesar's death. Brutus replies that they desire no such thing, and that if Antony could see their hearts, he would know that they have acted out of pity for Rome in general, and that they receive him with love. He adds that they will explain their reasoning to Antony after they have calmed the fearful crowds. Antony shakes hands with the conspirators while apologizing to Caesar's spirit for making peace with his murderers. Cassius interjects to ask whether they can rely on Antony as a friend. Antony assures them that they can. They can rely on Antony if they can convince him that Caesar was dangerous and thus that his death was justified. Moreover, he asks if he might speak at Caesar's funeral. Brutus grants this request immediately. Antony was welcomed by the conspirators. Welcome, Mark Antony. And Antony enters the scene. Seeing Caesar's body, he says, O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Are all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? Fare thee well. O mighty Caesar, is this your position now, that you have to lie down on the ground? What about your conquest? The special cause for respect, glories, the special cause for respect. What about your triumphs, your success? What about your spoils, your trophies? Everything reduced to this little measure, shrunk to this little measure means the small area of on the ground where his body lies. Caesar lies low on the ground, having been assassinated. This little measure here, shrunk to this little measure, refers to Caesar's current state of being reduced to a small, lifeless body on the ground where his body lies. So we can see one of the examples of Caesar's conquest. As the play begins, Caesar's victory over the sons of Pompey. Example for glory, he places the public over his personal self. Then his triumph or the victory in the Gallic wars. One of his glories was the triumphal return to Rome, as I said, that after defeating Pompey's forces. So all this, what about all these conquest, glory, triumph, spoil, everything shrunk to this little measure, O Caesar, O mighty Caesar, reduced to this small area of the ground on which your body lies. Turning towards Cassius and Brutus. Gentlemen, I know not what you intend. Who else must be let bled? Who else is rank? So here rank, there is a pun on the word. meaning overgrown, that means too powerful, same status as a Caesar, overgrown politically. And the second meaning is full of disease, and this disease, this was often supposed to be cured by letting blood. So here Antony asks, gentlemen, I do not know what have you planned, what you intend. Who else must be let blood? Means who else must be killed? Who else deserves to die? Why does Antony say so? Antony says this because he is unaware of the intentions of the conspirators and fears that the conspirators intend to murder Antony as well. So he requested them, he implored them, if they implores them, if I myself, is that the next person, it's me, if I myself you consider to be killed, who is in the same status as Caesar, who is to be killed, then I consider this is the best hour, no hour so fit as Caesar's death hour. This is the appropriate time for Antony to die. This is the appropriate instrument you can use to kill me, of half that worth as though those of your swords that has made with the most noble blood of all this world. The most noble blood of all this world indicate. What does it indicate? His deep admiration, Antony's deep admiration and reverence, respect for Caesar. And Antony sees Caesar's blood as the most honorable and the significant in the world, of all this world, significant in the world, reflecting, what does it reflect about his character trait? Profound loyalty and emotional attachment to Caesar is reflected through this word. And I do beseech you, so I request you, if you bear me hard, if you have any ill feeling towards me, while your purpled hands do reek and smoke, fulfill your pleasure. While your hands are still dark with red, with the blood of Caesar, which is smelling and steaming. Steaming means which is very warm, warm blood, just now only assassinated. You can carry out your wishes by killing me. Fulfill your pleasure. You can kill me. Because I consider this is the appropriate time next to Caesar's place, that is appropriate place, and the instrument which you have used to kill Caesar, that is appropriate weapon. With that you can kill me. Live 1,000 years. Even if I live 1,000 years, I shall not find myself so apt to die. I shall find no other time so appropriate, so fit to die. No place will please me so. This is the appropriate place, so pleasing to me, and no mean of death. There is no other way to die but near Caesar, here by Caesar, and by you, you cut off, you chopped, you can chop me, you can kill me. The best, the choice and master spirits of this age refers to the conspirators. That means the greatest persons of this age, ironically. Killed, you can kill me. I'll be killed by the choice and master spirits of this age. The greatest people of this age who have assassinated Caesar. So here Antony says that, gentlemen, I don't know what you intend, what you have planned, who else must be killed, who else is in the same rank, who else is in the same status as Caesar. If it is myself, then how does Antony consider about his death that there is no hour so fit as a Caesar's death hour, Caesar's death, appropriate time as the time of Caesar's death, and with no other weapon, no instrument, no other weapon that is even half as worthy as your swords, which have been made rich with the honorable noble blood of all this world, which have been enriched by the most honorable blood of the entire world. So I request you, he implores them to kill him too with the same sword they have used to assassinate Caesar. So if you bear me hard, If you have any ill will towards me, anything serious against me, any grudge against me, which are the same they had with Caesar, then whilst your purpled hands do reek and smoke, while your hands are still dark with the blood of Caesar, smelling and steaming, carry out your wishes, fulfill your pleasure. Please yourselves, you can please yourselves by killing me now, while your hands, which are dark red with blood and are still smelling and steaming, reek and smoke. Now he tells that even if I should live 1,000 years, I would not find myself as so prepared to die, because so no other place will please me so much as to die nearby Caesar, and no other means of death will please me so much as to be chopped off by you. And how did Antony address the conspirators? The choice and master spirits of this age, who are the most distinguished men and the supreme leaders of this age. When Antony implored the conspirators to kill him with the same swords they have used to assassinate Caesar, Brutus replied to Antony. What was his reply? How did Brutus respond to the request by Antony? O Antony, beg not your death of us. What does this sentence mean? This statement mean? It clearly indicates that the conspirators do not have any intention to kill Antony. Though now we must appear bloody and cruel, as by our hands and this our present act, you see we do. Yet see you but our hands and this the bleeding business they have done. He tells that even though we certainly appear to be bloodthirsty and violent, bloody and cruel, bloodthirsty and violent. How can you conclude that they appear to be bloody and cruel? As by their hands, it's already informed in the previous dialogue, still dark red with the blood of Caesar, which was smelling and steaming. As by the appearance of our hands, still dark red with the blood of Caesar, and the present act, the act of, what does this present act refer to? It refers to the act of murder. You see that you can see, indeed, truly it appears so. Yes, they have done this deed, yet you see our hands only. You only see our hands, and this act of bloodshed, bleeding business which they have committed, the hands have committed. But one thing you fail to understand, what is that? You did not see our hearts. Our hearts, they are full of pity, they are pitiful. And pity to the general wrong of Rome, as fire drives out fire, so pity. He gives an example here. So here he tells that you do not understand our hearts. You fail to see our heart, which are full of pity. And why have we done this act? Pity for the injustice to the general wrong of Rome. Pity for the injustice suffered by the whole of Rome, the Roman citizens. In the same way, how as fire drives out fire, in the same way, one fire puts out another, the same way pity, the first pity refers to the pity for Rome, drives out the pity for Caesar, that has driven us to commit this act on Caesar. So here he tells that they love Rome more. For the sake of Rome, they did not feel any pity towards Caesar. They love Caesar, it is true, but they loved Rome more than they love Caesar. This was the explanation given by Brutus. Hath done this deed on Caesar. Just as what example did he give to prove his point? Just as one fire puts out another, So pity, the first pity refers for the pity for the injustice suffered by the people of Rome has driven out all our pity for Caesar. Then they couldn't show pity to Caesar and forced them to commit this deed of assassinating Caesar. Had done this deed on Caesar. For your part, and now your request, answer to your request. If you have any intention, you can kill me. When Antony said this, and to your request, to you, our swords have a leaden points. Leaden points means a blunt like lead. So he tells that as far as you are concerned, Mark Antony, our swords are harmless towards you. Mark Antony, our arms, no strength of malice. Our arms, which appear to be full of the desire to harm, but do receive you with that arms. Okay, see here, our hearts of brothers' temper. What about our hearts? Are softened by brotherly love. Though our arms no strength of malice, but our hearts of a brotherly temper do receive you. Our arms receive you with all kind of love, good thoughts, and reverence. Here we get the answer. How does Brutus receive Antony to the group? As a brother, with all kind love, good thoughts, and reverence. In this way, Brutus welcomes Antony to the group of conspirators. So when Brutus welcomes Antony, what did Cassius do? Your voice, he is giving some offer, Cassius, your voice shall be as strong as any man's in the disposing of new dignities. Here he gives that what privilege will he get if he joins the group? Cassius says that your voice will be as influential as anyone else in the distribution of new honors and state appointments. Your opinion will be considered as strong and valuable as anyone else in the disposing of new officers and honors. That is the word dignities, means office, new office, and honors. Brutus continues, only be patient till we have appeased the multitude. So be patient, only you wait patiently until we have appeased, calmed down the crowd, the multitude crowd, beside themselves with fear, who have already lost the self-control because of the fear. And then once we have calmed down the multitude, we will tell you the cause. We will give you the reason. We will explain to you the reason why I, who did love Caesar, when I struck him, have thus proceeded. Who loved Caesar, when I attacked him, have acted in this manner. I will explain it to you. When will Brutus explain this to Antony? Once the multitude is calmed down, till we have appeased the multitude. Now they have lost their self-control because of fear. They were running as if it were doomsday. So here we can see that Brutus is assuring Antony that he gives a reason why Brutus, who loved Caesar, have acted in this way. When Brutus assured Antony that he would give the explanation that why has he assassinated Caesar, once he appeased the multitude, Antony replies to Brutus that I doubt not of your wisdom. What does this statement mean? Here, Antony says this statement in an ironical way. I doubt not of your wisdom, because Antony has already planned in his mind how he will seek revenge for Caesar's murder by appeasing the multitude himself against Brutus, whom Brutus is trying to calm down now. That multitude only will go against Brutus and the conspirators. So he says in an ironical way, I doubt not of your wisdom. Further, what did Antony do? He says that let each man render me his bloody hand. Let each one give me your blood-stained hand. So here he is befriending the murderers of his friend Julius Caesar. First Marcus Brutus, let me shake hands with you. Next Cassius, I take your hand. Next Decius Brutus, yours, then Metellus, then Cinna, and valiant Casca. Only for Casca he has used an adjective valiant, brave. Here also Antony used the word valiant in an ironical way because Casca stabbed Caesar in a cowardly way from behind. And yours, though last, not least in love, but not the least in my love for you, good Trebonius, your hand also. You all are gentlemen. What shall I say now? He says here. All are gentlemen, all are honorable here. Then this action of Antony makes him speak further that my credit now stands on slippery ground. Credit here refers to reputation. Why? Why does it stand on the slippery ground? Because he is befriending the murderers of his friend Julius Caesar. At present, this action of Antony would make him look one of the two bad ways. You may consider me as either a coward or a flatterer. Reputation is now so unsteady. Antony's reputation is so unsteady, it stands on slippery ground that you perhaps imagine me, you conceive me, you understand me, either a coward, I am a coward, or a flatterer. Why does he say so? Because Antony is fawning like a slave at the killers of his friend Julius Caesar. Here Antony appears to be a bad person who is behaving like a coward or a flatterer. He seems to be insincere and not brave. But at the same time, this action of Antony created an impression on the conspirators. What did they think about this action of Antony's? The conspirators are moved by his emotional outburst and consider Antony as a friend at that moment. Then turning towards Caesar's body, he says that I did love thee, Caesar. Oh, it's true. Yes, Caesar, it is true that I indeed, truly, I love you. That Antony loved Caesar. But if thy spirit look upon us now, us means Antony and the conspirators, if Caesar's spirit looks at Antony and the conspirators, how does it react? Shall it not grieve thee dearer than thy death? Will it not sadden you more painfully than your death? Because your Antony is making peace with whom? Your enemies, shaking the bloody fingers of thy foes, thy enemies. Those people are most noble, honorable. That too in the presence of your dead body. Will it not grieve? Sure it will. That's a meaning. But right now, Antony has to do this because it's better for him to be friendly with them at present. Antony shakes hands with the conspirators to make them believe that he does not have any ill intention towards them. Though ultimately he desires to take brutal revenge against the group, he is aware that confronting them directly after Caesar's murder now would likely to prove fatal for him. So he has shown he expresses great wisdom, inner resolve and patience. Antony befriends with the conspirators and relies on his unassuming reputation in order to bide his time, turn the people against the conspirators and raise an army to enact his revenge against them. After that, what did he say? Had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds. He would have not come to be in friendly terms with them. On what condition? Had I as many eyes I had, like as many wounds on the body of Caesar. From the wounds weeping as fast, these eyes will shed tears with the same speed like the blood comes forth from the wound of the Caesar. Then it would become me better than to close in terms of friendship with thine enemies. Then he would have not come in terms of friendship with his enemies, that is the conspirators. If he had as many eyes as Caesar has wounds on the dead body, and these eyes were weeping as profusely as your wounds which are giving out blood, it would suit me better. It would suit me better than to come to an agreement in friendly terms with your enemies. So now Antony says, pardon me, Julius. Here was thou bade, brave heart. So bade in stag hunting, hounds chase the stag. The stag runs and after becoming tired helplessly stops and faces the hounds. This is called stag is brought to bay. Learn this meaning. And brave heart, there is a pun on the word heart. Brave heart means a brave stag, that is male deer. And the second one, brave heart of Caesar. And now the stag is brought to bay, spoil connected, meaning is there, spoil blood. After killing the stag, the parts of the animal's body are divided among the hounds. These parts or shares are called a spoil. Now what is the allusion to Lethe? Classical mythology, the river that divided the land of the living from the land of dead. The dead drank here and the water made them forget their previous life. Signed in thy Lethe, each has put a mark on the different parts of your body. Each one stabbed you to death and drenched one's hand with the blood of your dead body. That is Lethe. So here the references, in this case, the river of death in this case refers to the actual blood of Caesar flowing from his body. So forgive me, Julius, you are concerned here as brave deer, and you fell here, and your hunters are standing, signed in thy spoil, stained with your blood, and made dark red. Their hands are made dark red in your blood, in thy Lethe. O world, you were the forest to this deer. Thou was the forest to this heart. O world, there is a reference here. O world, you were like a forest, and Caesar, like the stag of this deer of this forest, roamed about here. That is, the whole world was Caesar's kingdom, was the forest to this heart. And this indeed and truly the world, heart of thee. You were the forest to this deer, and Caesar, the world was indeed your heart, your center. Like a deer, now, like a deer, stricken by many princes, dost thou lie here. And now you are lying here like a deer, much like a deer that has been hunted down by many princes. So here, on this ground, you lie like a stag hunted by many princes. When Antony was speaking highly of Julius Caesar, who has just been assassinated by the conspirators who are standing there, which aroused some suspicion in Cassius, and he called Antony Mark Antony. Then Antony answers to Cassius, pardon me, Cassius, the enemies of Caesar shall say this. Then in a friend, it is a cold modesty. How did he manipulate the conspirator standing there? How did he handle the situation there? He says that, forgive me, Cassius, the enemies of Caesar will say this, whatever I have told. that the world were the forest to this deer, and this Caesar, oh, world was indeed the heart. All these praising words, even the enemies of Caesar will say, what I said, then said by a friend, it is a modest statement from a friend instead of glowing tribute. Then Cassius said that, I blame you not for praising Caesar. I blame you not. I did not blame for praising Caesar. What does he ask the speaker as a result of his suspicion? This is the question he asked. He had some doubt on Antony because he was speaking very highly of Caesar. Based on his doubt, he asked a question, but what compact mean you to have with us? Will you be pricked in number of our friends, or shall we own and not depend on you? Cassius asked Antony, the speaker, his true intentions, whether or not Antony to be counted as a friend to them. He said that he was not blaming, but he wanted to know, would you agree to mark down on a list of our friends, or shall they go on with their plans without depending on Antony's support, not depend on you? Antony says that, therefore I took your hands. Yes, that means he has joined the group of conspirators. That action shows that you can consider me one among your group. You can consider me. This is the reason why I shook hand with you. But was indeed truly swayed from the point by looking down on Caesar. But what happened? He was in fact diverted from the purpose when he looked down on Caesar's body. And he confirms his statement that, friends, I am with you all. And Antony loves all the gentlemen who are standing here. And upon this hope, in the hope that on what condition you shall give me the reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. Upon the hope, I am joining in your group with the hope that you will give me the reasons why and in what way Caesar was dangerous. So Brutus gives answer for that, or else if we do not give you the reason, were this a savage spectacle. This would be a sight which is a very cruel one, a savage spectacle. If we do not give proper reason or justification to you why and wherein Caesar was dangerous, this sight would be a savage spectacle. And our reasons are so full of good regard. And our reasons are so sound, so perfect that even if you, Antony, you were the son of Caesar, you would have been satisfied. You will be satisfied with the reasons which we are going to give once the mob or the multitude is appeased. Antony, that's all I see. Yes, that is all I wanted. And I am moreover suitor that I may produce his body to the marketplace. Here he makes one more request. And I would also like to be permitted to bring out his body, Caesar's body, to the marketplace. And as it is appropriate for a friend in the pulpit, in the raised platform, speak in the funeral ceremony, speak in the order of his funeral. Kindly permit me to do this. Without thinking much, Brutus said that you shall mark Antony. Brutus failed to understand that Antony is a shrewd contriver. Antony puts on a mask to manipulate Brutus. Brutus, the next second, whenever when he requested that if he is allowed to take Caesar's body to the marketplace and speak in the order of his funeral, Brutus agreed. He agrees to let Antony speak at the Caesar's funeral. Brutus said that yes, you shall. By the time we can see that Cassius stops him. Cassius tells Brutus, You do not know what you do. I wanted to have a word with you. Aside to Brutus, you don't know what you do. Do not consent. Do not permit Antony that Antony speak in his funeral. Do not allow Antony to speak in his funeral. Know you how much the people may be moved by that which he will utter. So he says that you do not know, you do not realize what you are doing. Do not agree to allow Antony to speak in his funeral. Do not realize how much the people may be influenced by what he will say. Brutus underestimates Mark Antony's oratory power and gives Antony a chance to sway the mood of general public of Rome with his words. Even though Cassius warns Brutus that people might be moved by what Antony speaks at Caesar's funeral. So errors of Brutus. So 3 errors are highlighted. The first one is, since his cause is just, Brutus consider his cause is just, it has to be presented and people will automatically believe it. It was his thought. Second, he mistakenly assumes that like himself, like Brutus, others too are led by reason. Antony, in fact, wins over the mob by trickery, emotion, and so on. Thirdly, he assumes that the existence of same virtue in everyone. He forgets that he is speaking to mob. Brutus failed to understand that. And the most important error, the final one is entrusting the crowd to Antony. Brutus makes a fatal error of judgment. When Cassius requested Brutus do not allow Antony to speak in the funeral ceremony, Brutus did not listen to Cassius. And he says that, sorry for contradicting your statement. By your pardon, what has he planned to do, Brutus? I will myself into the pulpit first. Forgive me first, and I will go to the pulpit first and show them the reason for the death of our Caesar, and will give the reason, the justification, why and wherein Caesar was dangerous, reason for Caesar's death. What Antony shall speak, I will protest. Whatever Antony speaks, I will proclaim that. I will proclaim he speaks by leave and by permission, with our permission. I will proclaim that he speaks with our permission, and we are contented Caesar shall have all true rights. And we are glad that Caesar will receive all the appropriate and lawfully allowed funeral ceremonies. And this action of ours, that we are giving all the true rights and lawful ceremonies for Caesar, which will advantage more than to do us wrong. It will benefit us more than harm us. Cassius, aside to Brutus, I know not what may fall. I like it not. I do not know what may happen. Anyway, I do not like your decision that allowing Antony to speak in the funeral ceremony. Brutus gives some instruction to Antony after that. Mark Antony, here take you Caesar's body. You can take Caesar's body to the marketplace. And what you are not supposed to do there, you shall not in your funeral speech blame us. First point, you should not blame us in your funeral speech, but what you can do, speak all good you can devise of Caesar. You may speak all the good things that you can think about. Think about Caesar and say that, and you should say that you are speaking, you are doing it with our permission. Otherwise, if you do not follow these points which Brutus had told, taking Caesar's body, he should not blame the conspirators, and all that good, whatever he can think about Caesar, only those things he are allowed to speak, and he speaks with their permission given by conspirators, especially Brutus. else shall you not have any hand at all about his funeral. If you do not follow the instruction, you will not be allowed to have any hand or anything to do with his funeral, any hand at all about his funeral. And you shall speak in the same pulpit. You will speak in the same pulpit where I am going. You should speak in the same pulpit where I am going means where Brutus is going to address the citizens after after his speeches ended, after he finished his speech, then Antony is allowed to speak in the pulpit. What he is supposed to speak? He is supposed to speak all the good things that he can think about Caesar. He should never blame the conspirators, and he speaks with the permission of Brutus and the conspirators. If he doesn't follow, he will not have any hand in the funeral ceremony of Caesar. Antony, be it so, I do desire no more. Yes, all right, he doesn't desire more than this. So Brutus, prepare the body then and follow us. Cassius warns Brutus that people might be moved by what Antony speaks at Caesar's funeral. But Brutus did not listen to Cassius, and he underestimates Mark Antony's oratory power and gives Antony a chance to sway the mood of general public of Rome with his words. And here, when all exit, Antony says, "Pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth." To the body of Caesar, he says, "Pardon me, O Caesar, thou bleeding piece of earth." He called Caesar's body as the bleeding piece of earth. Why did he refer to that? Why did he say so? The piece of land on which Caesar lies is covered with blood so much that it appears to Antony as though the piece of earth was bleeding. So he addressed the body as the bleeding piece of earth. That I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Please pardon me because I was so meek and gentle with these butchers. In which manner he was meek and gentle? As we have seen that instead of reacting in an angry way or violently, he was very calm, and he had shaken hands with each one of the conspirators. For that action, for that deed, please pardon me, Caesar. Thou art the ruins of the noblest man. He says that you are the remains of the most honorable man who ever lived in the changing currents of history, tide of times, who have ever lived in the history of, in this period of history. Woe to the hand that shed this costly blood. He says that cursed will be the man who shed this precious blood, a noble blood. Over thy wounds now do I prophesy. He says that now I foretell, I prophesy, means I foretell. Over your wounds. Now wounds are compared to dumb mouths, which are like a dumb mouth. Do ope their ruby lips. What do the dumb mouths do? Open their red lips to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. Open the mouth. These dumb mouths are opened, which are begging Antony to speak. Now on this, over thy wounds, I foretell. What does he foretell? A curse till burial is the answer. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. He says that a curse will fall on the bodies of men. Then, second point, domestic fury and fierce civil strife, internal conflict and civil war will burden all parts of Italy. Second point. And the third point, what is going to happen in Italy? Blood and destruction shall be so common. And what about the dreadful objects, the terrible objects? Weapons will be so familiar to each and everyone. And in this condition, one example he gives. Mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. Mothers will only smile when they see their children cut into pieces by warlike hands. All pity will be suffocated with custom of offense. Pity will be suffocated by the familiarity with the cruel deeds. So this will be common sight in Rome, all parts of Italy. At that time, what happens? What is Antony expected there? Caesar's spirit ranging for revenge with Atти by his side, come hot from hell, shall in these confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth with carrion men groaning for burial. So his expectation is Caesar's spirit searching the earth for revenge will come with Greek goddess of destruction and revenge near him, Atти. Will come along with the Greek goddess of destruction and revenge near him, come furious from hell, very furious from hell. He comes from hell and he screams. Shall in these regions he comes and with a monarch's voice he calls havoc. Havoc when a king gave this order, his army slaughtered and looted the defeated enemy. That is havoc. It is an instruction which is a signal for mass slaughter and plunder. Cry havoc, and what happens? What all will be there prevailing in Rome? Famine, sword, fire, and so on. All this. Let slip the dogs of war. War is described as a destructive hunter with a fierce dog, with fierce dogs. And this violent murder, this foul deed shall smell above the earth. This violent murder will smell above the earth with the decaying dead bodies, carrion men groaning for burial. Decaying dead bodies will be groaning for burial. As he was speaking, who comes to the scene? Octavius' servant enters the scene. When the conspirators leave the stage, Antony stays behind, and he says Caesar's spirit, raging for revenge, comes hot from hell. The ghost seeking revenge was a famous or familiar figure on the Elizabethan stage. Caesar's spirit lives and acts after Caesar's murder. So we get to know that there are two Caesars in the play. The ruler killed by the conspirators and his ghost who act on his behalf. Antony's prediction about domestic fury and fierce civil strife confirm the power of second Caesar. As he speaks, a servant enters. Antony asked, you serve Octavius Caesar? Do you not? Yes, Mark Antony, I do. He confirms that he serves Octavius Caesar. Caesar did write for him to come to Rome. Yes, Caesar wrote Octavius to come to Rome. Servant, yes, he received the letter and he is coming. Octavius is coming and he asked me to say to you by word of mouth. And he is on his way. He told me to inform you verbally by the time he sees Caesar's body, and he reacted, O Caesar. When he reacted, Antony says, thy heart is big. Your heart is swollen up with sorrow. Go away. Get thee apart and weep. Go away from here and weep. The reason, passion here refers to emotion. I see is catching for mine eyes. I see that deep sorrow is affecting others. Why does he say so? Because Antony's eyes began to water, seeing the tears which swelled up in the servant's eyes. Is your master coming? Octavius says that he lies tonight, he is in camp tonight, which is 7 leagues of a Rome. 7 leagues means 21 miles. Antony, what important information did he give to the servant? Post back with speed and tell him what has chanced. Go back fast and tell Octavius what has happened here in Rome. And this Rome, how did he address the Rome? The present Rome is a mourning Rome, a dangerous Rome, which is not at all safe for Octavius now. Not a safe Rome for Octavius. So hurry from here and tell him so. Hurry hence and tell him so. Yet stay a while, wait a little. Thou shalt not back till I have borne this corpse into the marketplace. You should not go back until I have carried this body into the marketplace. And there I shall try in my speech, in my oration, I will find out how people take this cruel issue of these bloody men. I shall discover how these people, the citizens of Rome, react to the result of the cruelty of these bloody men, violent people, and describing according to which how the people react according to my speech, according to which thou shalt discourse. You can describe the situation to young Octavius of the state of things and how people react. You can describe the situation to young Octavius depending on how people react to my speech. Help me carry the body. Lend me your hand and exit with Caesar's body. Thank you, children.